Welcome to Aviation Mysteries, the podcast that delves into the most perplexing enigmas of the skies. I'm Vanished Skies, and in this series we examine one of the most baffling disappearances in aviation history, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. How does a modern airliner carrying 239 souls across continents vanish without a trace in an era of sophisticated radar, satellite surveillance, and global communication? Despite intensive international search efforts, extensive investigations, and a multitude of theories from experts around the world, the fate of MH370 remains one of aviation's greatest unsolved mysteries. Today, we begin our journey into this enigma. This is Episode 1, The Flight That Vanished. It was the night of March 8, 2014. At Kuala Lumpur International Airport, CLIA, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was preparing for what was meant to be a routine red-eye flight to Beijing Capital International Airport, a journey estimated to take around 6 hours. The Boeing 777-200ER, celebrated for its safety record and advanced technology, stood ready to take to the skies. At 12:41 a.m. local time, the aircraft began its ascent. The 239 souls on board, 227 passengers and 12 crew members, were unaware that within hours, their fate would become the subject of one of the most extensive international investigations in aviation history. The people on board, the crew stewards of the skies. The cockpit was commanded by Captain Zahiri Ahmed Shah, a 53-year-old pilot with over 18,000 flight hours. Known among his peers for his precision and calm demeanor, Captain Zahiri had been a respected figure at Malaysia Airlines for many years. He maintained an active presence in aviation circles, even owning a flight simulator at home, a hobby that underscored his deep passion for flying. Alongside him was First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, a 27-year-old pilot who was on the cusp of full certification on the Boeing 777. Although he had fewer hours than his captain, Farik's dedication and skill had earned him respect. His final recorded words, "Good night, Malaysia 370, would soon be dissected by investigators and become a haunting signature of that fateful flight. The passengers, stories, and families. The 227 passengers on board hailed from 14 different countries. The majority were Chinese nationals, 153 passengers, accompanied by 38 Malaysians, with the remaining passengers coming from countries including Indonesia, India, France, the United States, Russia, Ukraine, Canada, Australia, and Iran. Personal stories that echo through time. Paul Weeks, New Zealand. Paul, a 38-year-old mechanical engineer, had recently accepted a new position in Mongolia. Before departure, he made sure to leave behind tokens for his family, his wedding ring and watch, which he entrusted to his wife, saying, "If anything happens to me, please make sure our boys have these." His wife, Danica, recalls his calm determination and that he had never before given any such foreboding farewell. Paul's story remains a poignant reminder of the lives halted that night. Muktesh Mukherjee and Ziomo by Canada, China. Muktesh, a 42-year-old corporate executive, and his wife Ziomo had just returned from a family vacation in Vietnam. They were eagerly heading back to Beijing, where their 2 sons awaited. Family members remember their smiles and excitement, never imagining that their journey would end in tragedy. Meng Gaosheng, China. A renowned calligrapher, Meng was on his way to an art exhibition scheduled for the following day. Known for his delicate, expressive brushstrokes, Meng had dedicated his life to his art. His family remembers him as quiet and thoughtful, with a passion that touched everyone who saw his work. Li Yuan, China. Li, a young IT engineer who had recently celebrated the birth of his first child, sent a final text message to his wife before boarding. "See you in the morning, take care of our baby." This message, now his last digital footprint, has become a symbol of the personal losses experienced by families worldwide. 2 Iranians with stolen passports. Early in the investigation, 2 young men, Poria Nur Mohammed Mayadad, 19, and Delavar Said Mohammed Reza, 29, raised suspicions due to discrepancies in their travel documents. They had boarded with stolen passports, prompting initial speculation about terrorist involvement. However, later findings by Interpol indicated that they were asylum seekers trying to reach Europe. Their tragic circumstances add another layer of complexity to the overall narrative. The last communications, a haunting echo. At 1:19 a.m., as MH370 transitioned from Malaysian to Vietnamese airspace, Air Traffic Control at Kuala Lumpur issued a routine handover instruction. Malaysia 370, contact Ho Chi Minh on 120.9. Good night. First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid responded, "Good night, Malaysia 370. These words, delivered in a tone that belied the impending catastrophe, were the last human voices ever recorded from the flight. Merely 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the plane's transponder, the electronic device that relays the aircraft's location and altitude to ground-based controllers, was manually switched off. This deliberate action severed the aircraft's digital presence, and MH370 vanished from civilian radar. Vietnamese air traffic controllers made repeated attempts to reach the flight, but silence met every call. The absence of any distress signal or emergency declaration left investigators and families alike reeling with questions. A timeline of disappearance and early reactions. The hours following the disappearance unfolded in a series of chilling events. 1:21 a.m., the transponder is switched off. MH370 vanishes from civilian radar. 1:30 a.m., Vietnamese controllers attempt repeated radio contact. There is no response. 2:22 a.m., military radar data reveals that MH370 made a sharp left turn, reversing course over the Malaysian Peninsula. 2:40 a.m., the final radar contact is made as the aircraft is tracked over the Andaman Sea before it is lost entirely. 6:30 a.m., MH370 was scheduled to land in Beijing. Instead, families at Beijing Capital International Airport face mounting anxiety as the arrival board displays delayed. 7:24 a.m., in a somber press release, Malaysia Airlines announces, "We deeply regret that we have lost all contact with flight MH370. This official statement sent shockwaves around the world. For many families, the hours of uncertainty were agonizing. News outlets such as Reuters and The Guardian immediately picked up the story, reporting on the baffling disappearance and the massive search efforts that would follow. The military radar revelation. A key breakthrough in understanding the flight's path came from military radar. Soon after the transponder was disabled, data revealed that MH370 had deviated sharply from its planned route. Instead of heading north toward Beijing, the aircraft executed a sudden left turn, flying back over the Malaysian Peninsula and then turning northwest over the Andaman Sea. This unexpected maneuver sparked a flurry of theories. Was this a result of a catastrophic mechanical failure, or did someone in the cockpit intentionally alter the course? The fact that the transponder was switched off manually suggests that the change was deliberate. Yet no distress call was ever made, and no warning signals indicated that an emergency was unfolding in the cabin. The global search effort. The disappearance of MH370 triggered one of the largest and most complex search operations in aviation history. More than 26 countries participated, deploying hundreds of aircraft, ships, and underwater vehicles to scour vast stretches of the ocean, the South China Sea to the southern Indian Ocean. Initial search efforts concentrated in the South China Sea, where MH370 was last tracked on civilian radar. However, subsequent analysis of satellite pings provided by British company Inmarsat indicated that the aircraft continued to fly for up to 7 additional hours. These pings suggested a final trajectory toward the southern Indian Ocean. This pivotal revelation forced search teams to redirect their efforts thousands of miles from the initial focus area. Official reports and investigations. 2 major official investigations have shaped our current understanding of MH370's disappearance. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau, ATSB, Report 2017. This report, compiled after extensive underwater searches, concluded that MH370 likely ran out of fuel and crashed into the Indian Ocean. The ATSB report is available on their official website and is widely cited in Aviation Research, ATSB 2017, the Malaysian Government Investigation Report 2018. Released by the Malaysian government, this report highlighted that the aircraft's sudden deviation and loss of communication could have been the result of deliberate action. However, it stopped short of assigning definitive blame, leaving room for multiple interpretations. Malaysian Ministry of Transport, 2018. These reports have been instrumental in guiding search operations and have provided a factual framework amid the swirling speculations, debris discovery, and ongoing mystery. Despite years of intensive searching, the main wreckage of MH370 has not been found. However, a breakthrough came in July 2015 when a flaperon from a Boeing 777 was discovered on Reunion Island. This discovery was confirmed by French investigators, who linked the debris to MH370 through serial numbers and manufacturing details. Over time, additional fragments were found along the coastlines of Africa and on other Indian Ocean islands, corroborating that the aircraft had indeed met its end in the vast ocean. Yet the black boxes, which could hold crucial flight data and cockpit voice recordings, remain elusive. Their absence means that many questions about the final moments of the flight remain unanswered, fueling ongoing debates and theories among experts. Family reactions and lasting impacts. For the families of those on board, the disappearance of MH370 is an enduring nightmare. In interviews conducted by major news outlets such as BBC News and Reuters, family members expressed their anguish and frustration over the lack of closure. Danica Weeks, wife of Paul Weeks, recalls waiting in the airport, clinging to hope that her husband's final farewell had been misinterpreted as a simple goodbye rather than a harbinger of disaster. The Mukherjee family in Beijing continues to hold vigils for Muktesh and Zai Omo, their lives forever changed by the tragedy. Meng Gaosheng's family describes him as a gentle soul whose passion for art was abruptly silenced, a loss that resonates deeply within the artistic community. These personal stories underscore the human toll of MH370's disappearance. They are documented in numerous interviews and news features, including in-depth reports by The Guardian and Reuters. Unanswered questions and theories. Even as official investigations and search operations continue, MH370's disappearance remains shrouded in mystery. Various theories have emerged over the years. Catastrophic mechanical failure. Some experts suggest that a sudden and severe malfunction might have rendered the cockpit inoperative, leaving the aircraft to fly on autopilot until it exhausted its fuel. However, this theory struggles to explain why the transponder was deliberately switched off. Pilot involvement. The possibility that Captain Zahiri or First Officer Farik intentionally altered the flight path has been a major focus of speculation. Notably, the discovery of flight simulator data in Captain Zahiri's home, routes that mirrored the final path of MH370, raised questions. Yet official investigations have not conclusively linked these findings to deliberate action. Hypoxia, loss of cabin pressure. A gradual depressurization might have rendered everyone on board unconscious, allowing the plane to continue flying on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. This ghost flight scenario is supported by the behavior of the aircraft after contact was lost but remains unproven. Hijacking or terrorism. Although early theories considered the possibility of a hijacking, no group has ever claimed responsibility, and thorough investigations found no evidence connecting any passenger or crew member to terrorist activities. Each of these theories has its proponents, yet none have been conclusively proven by the official reports. The lack of physical evidence, especially the absence of the flight recorders, leaves many questions unanswered. The broader impact on aviation safety. In the wake of MH370's disappearance, the aviation industry has undergone significant changes, enhanced tracking requirements. Airlines and international regulators have pushed for real-time tracking of aircraft using satellite technology. The International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, now recommends that aircraft report their positions at regular intervals, even when flying over remote regions. Improved communication protocols. New protocols have been developed to ensure that any loss of communication is detected and addressed immediately. These measures aim to avoid the kind of mystery that has haunted MH370. Global cooperation. The search for MH370 was a landmark in international cooperation, involving 26 countries and numerous agencies. This collaboration has set a precedent for future multinational search and rescue operations. These improvements, as documented by agencies like the ATSB and reported by BBC News and Reuters, demonstrate the aviation community's commitment to learning from this tragedy. Conclusion: an enduring enigma. The disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 is not just a technical anomaly, it is a human tragedy. The loss of 239 lives, each with their own hopes, dreams, and stories, continues to resonate around the world. Families are left with an everlasting void, and investigators are left with a puzzle that defies simple explanation. As we close this episode, many questions still linger. What truly happened in the final minutes of MH370? Was the turning off of the transponder an act of desperation, deliberate intent, or something else entirely? And most poignantly, how can families find closure when the physical evidence remains out of reach? In our next episode, we will explore the final communications from MH370's cockpit, scrutinizing every word and every silence. We'll hear from aviation experts, examine official reports, and try to piece together the moments that may hold clues to the truth. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of aviation's most haunting mysteries. I'm Vanished Skies, and this has been Aviation Mysteries. Please subscribe, share your thoughts, and join us next time as we continue our search for answers.